minutes. So now's the time to get in those questions, or you can join our server, ask that way. But let's grab Woolsey really quickly here. Hello, Woolsey, you there?
What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, man? Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here again.
Yeah, good to have you back. If you guys don't know, Woolsey was on the first one of these that we did a couple weeks back. So, yeah. What do you want to talk about on the show today, friend?
Well, I actually have two questions. The first is, right when I joined in, listening to y'all talk earlier, the discussion had come up about, I guess, Twitch Prime and selling out and how to avoid being labeled a sellout, or people coming in and saying different things that you do to try and pitch your subs or your sub perks makes you look like a sellout. And I just wanted to get more info from you guys on why you think people are so afraid of being called a sellout.
Yeah, I mean, I think that exists in every industry, not just Twitch, but it's tricky because you have to strike that balance. When you're a small streamer, it could potentially, people kind of see it as bad for you asking for subs and money, because it's well, you're getting 3 viewers, you're doing this whatever part-time, why should you get paid, versus a big streamer. But I think that's always going to be a struggle in Twitch and everywhere else. I mean, people are always going to tear you down for whatever, playing a game badly or asking for money on a stream, even when you kind of want to make it your job. I think that's just something people are always going to do, and just human nature, kind of, to tear others down. That's sort of a form of trolling. It's not as direct, but I think it could be. What do you guys think about that?
I know for me, I usually joke about it. I'll be the first one to say, hey, I'm in sellout status mode. We kind of refer back to, we call me sellout Spice, like the Spice Girls, because that's a huge thing in my chat. So I'm sellout Spice. Anytime I have a donation goal or I'm trying to reach a sub goal or something, I'm the first one to say I'm in sellout Spice mode. So just know that that's coming, so that when people come in and start going, well, what do you do? Why are you doing this? Why do you deserve this over somebody else? Then my chat's like, dude, if you were here ever, you would know this. Go away, leave her alone, kind of thing. I kind of try to preemptively stop the trolls before they come in, because they're gonna be there. People are gonna judge you for whatever you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, I was gonna reframe it, but yeah, I wanna hear your opinion too.
Well, I think people are afraid of being called a sellout because it's not a necessarily good thing to, be only in it for the money, because then it just is you're disingenuous. You don't care about me. You only care about my cash that I'm giving you. Right. And so I think that's where it kind of people are afraid to be labeled that. But at the same time, who's going to turn down money?
Right.
You'd be dumb if someone's like, hey man, I'm going to donate you $100. You could be like, oh no, don't do that. But secretly you're like, please, dear God, I need to eat.
Right? I gotta pay this bill this week.
Who would ever turn down money for streaming? Unless I don't know, you're some Tibetan monk who doesn't need money, But there's nothing wrong with wanting money. I think it's just the way you ask for it, the way you receive it, what you do with the money. That's just kind of how you go about it. Because
Sure.
if it was just me all the time, if I could have my way, I'd be look, every chat, every letter, that's $1. You better be careful.
Sure. So let me adjust what I think. I didn't mean it to come across as, how do I keep from viewers thinking that, or calling people out, for being a, because obviously, like Green said, that's people. Human nature is to attack the person on the pedestal. So I'm talking about it more from a streamer, from y'all personally. If someone comes in and calls you a sellout, how does that make you feel? Does that make you feel self-conscious about what you're doing?
I just laugh.
Always. For me, it does. With me, I've only really had 2 major donation goals that I've set up. One was to get a computer so that I could continue to stream, because my laptop died. And the other one was to get them to help me move out here because I ended up, it was just twice as expensive as what I budgeted for. And I felt horrible having to ask for those things. I had to get my viewers to basically write the paste bins explaining what was going on for me because I felt so bad having to ask for money. Like, I don't, yes, streaming is currently my full-time job that I'm majorly failing at, but it's my job. And that's the only way that I was contributing to my life and my household. So when my computer broke, I had nowhere else to go but chat, and I felt like an ass to have to ask them to help me pay for something so expensive. And then now I've had to do it twice, and I still feel horrible about it. Like, even now, like, I'm sitting here because my chat helped me get here, but I feel so bad that I had to ask. But they were like, we can't help you if we don't know you need help. And anytime I say, hey, I need help, someone always comes through for me. But it's getting off of your own pride and being willing to ask, and you have to be upfront about where the money's going. Not like, oh, I want to take a vacation, pay for that for me, or I have a working computer that I can stream off of, but I want a second one, I want a better one, help me with that. Like, those kinds of things are where I feel people need to be more self-conscious of what they're asking for, and they're not. And that's where the line between what is a sellout and what isn't is kind of blurred for me.
Yeah, I get that. For me, when someone comes in and calls me a sellout, I just kind of laugh, because right now there's really nothing that I'm doing for donations or anything. So when someone comes in and it's like, oh, you're just a sellout, I'm like, yeah, you're right, dude. I'm only in it for the money. You're right. That's why I'm here. That's why I try to be here every single day, making content as hard as I can, staying up super late. It's for your $2 donation that you may or may not give me. Yeah. 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't have a whole ton of experience on this end since I'm like more the behind the scenes person, but I definitely think that could be a struggle for someone, like especially starting out. Even probably keep going. You know, you hear people who lose, you know, like with the Twitch Prime subs. Sometimes, you know, if you're a smaller streamer, you lose a couple of those. If you're a big streamer, it can be like thousands of subs just gone with Twitch Prime.
Yeah.
So, and at some point you have to like, well, Twitch Prime, guys, is free. I mean, you're going to have to like try and get that back somehow if you want to keep yourself sustained on Twitch. So
yeah, if you're a big streamer and that's your only source of income, like, you better sell out, boy. Like, you need to stay alive.
Charge for song requests, all that fun stuff.
Oh yeah, you could do that. Go ahead, Woolsey.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm with y'all on that, and I just find it personally funny, just because my background before I got into streaming was sales, and there's a lot of the same issues that salespeople come into. The same as streamers. You know, you still have a brand, you're still pushing something, and then when it comes to asking for money, everyone's afraid. Because suddenly, regardless of whatever you did, now if you ask for anything in return, you're an asshole, right? Like now you're the sellout. You're the person that only cares about money. But you know what I always preach to all of my salespeople was, look, if you're good at something, never do it for free. And people
That's
who
my biggest problem.
I mean, look, but people, to me at least, streamers who stay out there and create content and push their content and try and make an interesting and I'd say unique environment for their subscribers and their viewers, I think that's the biggest what would be the word? I wouldn't say insult, because it's not really insulting. It's just the most laughable comment for someone to say that you're a sellout whenever you say anything about sub perks or donations, when they're literally at that moment sitting in your stream absorbing your content like a sponge, you know?
Yep.
For free. But the second that they need something back, look, sell out. Come on. Wow. How low of you.
I've had people come into my stream and ask me all these questions, how to get started in perlering and what tips and tricks can I give them, and basically do an entire tutorial stream for them on how to be my competition. And I'll do it. But for me, it's like, to an extent, I'll do it. It's going into McDonald's and asking them how to make a hamburger correctly so that you can open a burger joint down the road. Like that, it's one of those where it's like, okay, well, yeah, sit here, watch my content, learn what you need to do, I'll answer your questions, but don't expect me to teach you how to do this exactly so that you get as good as I am and you put me out of business. And I'm horrible for asking people for money. Like, I've lost so much money on commissions because I'll give them their piece and I won't think it's perfect enough. So I'll just be like, okay, well, I'll just write it off and I'll never ask them for the $30 or $50 that I was supposed to have charged them. And it's weird. It's a fine line that you walk when it comes to money and content. You are working, you are putting out content.
Yeah, I think.
But everybody thinks it's supposed to be free.
It's a good topic because, you mentioned, when you finally did ask people for help, like they came through, that is true of a lot of streamers that I've worked with who, when times get tough, when they like, either they don't have another choice or something, or they just finally decide to ask the community for help, something always happens and they come through. But a lot of times they would never ask that for just pride reasons or whatever. Yep. But I think as long as, if you really need help from your community and you ask it, not all the time, but like when you really do need it, not just like putting on a front or, oh, well, this person needs help for the 10th time again, I guess I'll help them out again. Like if you strike that balance where like you're clearly very trustworthy and just humbly asking for help, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And it's not selling out.
If they can see things degrading in your life over time, they watch you long enough. Like they watched the quality of my stream drop significantly when my laptop said, no more, we're not doing this. I'm not going to let you stream. And then they saw my entire life situation just fall apart and watched me fall apart on stream so many times that they knew that what I was asking for was legitimate and it wasn't easy for me to ask. So they were willing to help. But I've seen other streamers that are like, oh yeah, rent's real high, guys, I need donations, and it's just a joke. Like it's an absolute joke to them, but people will throw money at them left and right. And then there are those of us who are like, I can't ask you to help me feed my cats, let alone feed myself, so what am I supposed to do? Like I don't understand how to do this.
Yeah. Woolsy, have any thoughts on that, or a second question you mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I guess my last thought on that, and I'm kind of also reading some of the comments in chat, and it's just it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think I would just say that with that, the people, if you're putting in enough of your time and your energy and your effort, there will always be the people that recognize that and want to support you regardless of how much you sell out or don't sell out. And I don't want people to get confused and think that I'm coming from the direction of saying the second you start a stream, if people watch for more than an hour and don't subscribe to you, you permaban them, right? Like that, it's not an obligation, but you have to be aware of the flip side where people sit in your chat for, years at a time and never donate one penny and then insult you whenever you try and promote yourself and try and generate because the thing, and you can make it a joke and say Twitch Prime, have you heard about Amazon Prime and Twitch, but if you watch bigger streamers do it, they may even joke about it, but the second they do, they get like 50 subs straight, just right. Yep. So it's like, well, I'm going to make a meme out of myself for about 5 seconds, and then I'm going to get 100 new subs just because people forgot, and all it takes is you asking. So I just think it's really, I just think that streamers should be much less concerned about being labeled a sellout. I think if you're being labeled a sellout, you're probably in the minority of people who aren't afraid to push themselves and know that their content is worth money, and not shy away from it, be like, oh no, I promise I don't think my content's worth any of your money. Just stay here and please don't leave.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
I think some of the sellout stuff is just memes too, like you said, like on the viewer side too. Like I know even myself as a viewer sometimes, like just gotta spam sellout when someone's doing something like remotely sellouty, like not seriously, but just as like Twitch culture. So I think there are also probably streamers who let it get to them a little bit too much when it's like not actually meant to be harmful, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So yeah, but yeah, it's a great topic, man. I had never really thought about that before, so it's a good discussion.
I just have one more. I promise not to take any more of y'all's time. So the second is about gifted subs and y'all's opinions on gifted subs for people's channels, and whether or not you think it's just all around 100% a great thing for streamers, or if you have any other, I'd say, differing thoughts on the whole gifted subs program.
I think sub gifting is really awesome because, you know, like it allows your subs who are willing to sub to you every month to give you another sub to someone else who can't. Like I have a sub in my channel who gifts sometimes to people who don't have money, like maybe the younger portion of my audience. So they get to experience the sub content too. Like they get to post my dumb emote over and over, right? And I think it's great, but you also run into the problem of, okay, how long are they going to be able to pay for someone else's sub?
Exactly.
Like, that's kind of like an inflation of your sub number.
Yeah, I currently have 57 sub points, but I know the second that most of those run out, it's going to go back down to my 27. Like I had the sub train that I had the other night. It was mostly gifted subs, gifted to robots, gifted to streamers who don't know I exist, gifted to, I mean, it was crazy. It was really sweet, and I really appreciated it. But at the same time, it's like, thanks, but it's not gonna help me in the long run. They gifted subs to people who have been in my chat and have been loyal viewers and can't afford to sub, and that's awesome because they felt great. I felt great that they could finally use my emotes. But at the same time, the rest of them, it's like, Caleb Hart 42 doesn't know I exist. Electrical Skateboard's a robot. My own channel bot got a tier 3 sub. It's like, I really appreciate that. I really, really do. But can we give it to somebody who's actually going to appreciate it? It's interesting.
Gifting it to like bot or just like accounts that would never watch you is one thing. That I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's a funny meme though.
Yeah, it's good because you get,
is.
and then you get free money. I mean, why
Ninja
not?
sub to me, whoa!
Like, yeah, I could say, oh shit, somebody subbed to me.
Yeah, that's like its own thing. But in terms of like the traditional, or I think more common, you know, sub gifting to other viewers who can't afford or maybe just have never thought about subbing for whatever reason, I think it's actually great all around. Yes, like you can get fluctuations from month to month when they drop off, and that sort of sucks from like a planning standpoint. But at the end of the day, I still think you're getting way more access to revenue than you had before, even if it's just for like 1 or 2 months or something. And it's a good way to get people interested in subbing who, let's say like you've really good sub perks. If that person becomes a subscriber for free, then at the end of the month, if they lose that stuff, like, well, I kind of missed that. Like maybe I will sub because I didn't really know what I was missing until I had it. So yeah. I think it's good all around personally. But I don't know. What are your thoughts, Woolsy?
So for Chaos and Super, how many gifted subs have y'all had that hadn't paid for a sub previously and then was gifted one, and then after that gifted one fell off, renewed it with their own means?
Not
None.
a single one.
Yeah, me neither. Funny how that works.
But I mean, I know in a lot of the cases, they are people who, there's 2 or 3 that I can think of off the top of my head that were gifted subs around Christmas time when that whole gifting thing really became popular and known. And then they were re-gifted subs this last time that everybody decided they were going to gift subs to everybody who was in my chat. And they appreciated it, but they're also the people that aren't going to be able to afford it. They're students, or they're one-income single parents, or it's just, I know they can't. They know they can't. There's no pretense there that, oh, they're going to sub to me when this falls off. So, I mean, I'm always prepared that I'm never going to see those subs again unless somebody else gifts them. And that's okay.
So as far as the fluctuation goes, I know that both of y'all mentioned it, that Chaos, you said you were at like 57 sub points, but you know you're going to drop down to like 30 or 25. And then Super, you said it inflates your sub numbers. And I've had a lot of experience with that as well, where when it first came out, you know, my sub numbers, it relatively speaking, skyrocketed compared to where they were before. And then, you know, it went through the roller coaster of now falling off, because not only are you dealing with Prime subs that fall off, but now you're dealing with gifted subs that fall off. And you can go through a pretty rough time of a couple weeks if your Prime subs haven't got back into the channel, and then your gifted subs fall off, and then you suddenly think your channel's dying because you've lost like half your sub points. But I'm so I personally see the benefit, and I think that it sounds like y'all are with me on my thoughts as well, that there are downsides to it.
Yes.
So for you, the revenue that you get from the gifted sub, does that really matter to you? Does that $2.50 that you get from that gifted sub, does that really make you happy that they got gifted a sub for X amount of months? Or would you be that devastated if Twitch came out tomorrow and said, you know what, gifted subs, we tried it, but for X, Y, and Z reasons, we're not doing it anymore?
Probably not. Because, I mean, the only thing that I don't get paid enough on Twitch often enough for it to really like, oh, damn, I needed that 250, you know? But at the same time, it's kind of like, I really like seeing that one up in the sub numbers. Because, like, you know, like you said, you feel like your stream is dying when you lose numbers. And it's like, oh, dude, if they removed it, I probably wouldn't care. If they kept it, I probably wouldn't care. Like, cool. I don't get subs that often anyways. So it's like, oh, nice. That guy's a sub for a month. Neat. And then, you know, I get to write their name on the sub board. Cool. But, like, beyond things like that and, like, the artificial number increase that boosts my ego, I don't know. It's like $2.50, dude. I find that on the street. Like,
Like I honestly would be okay if they got rid of it. This is gonna sound so stupid and so ungrateful, but honestly I'd prefer the donations or the bits before I'd prefer the subs. Like I can do so much more for the channel faster with a donation than I can. Well, it's a little better now that it's a 45-day wait period instead of a 60-day, but I can do so much more faster if I have the donations. I can buy more perlers to keep making things to give to them. I can upgrade my webcam so that they're not looking at a grainy picture of what I'm trying to make for them. There's just more I can do, and I would really be okay if they got rid of the sub gifting even, because you, as affiliates, we don't see that much of it. We really don't see that much of it, and they're spending in some cases $25 a pop to gift a sub to somebody. I'm only going to see a portion of that way down the road. If you're willing to spend $25 on me, just donate it. Send it to PayPal. Like, make it a lot better for you in the long run.
Yeah. Snoop probably does bring up a good point in the chat that gifted subs, you know, again, you're only getting $250 from person, but being able to support someone else in that community is big as a viewer. You probably have it sounds like you guys have a couple of viewers who are known for gifting subs, and like that person could then have a role in your community as maybe not just gifter of subs, but as just making more of an impact in the community and just spreading some love, etc. So that's a cool another side of gifting subs that's not so obvious, but I think is a good point to consider too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense, and I agree that there is, from the community aspect, there is benefit to letting someone who has been in your channel for an X amount of time and support it in their own way, even if they can't financially. You know, being able to use the things that they see everyone else using, and spend a month using the emotes and getting the sub perks and all that. So from a community standpoint, I do see the benefit, but I guess for me, I put a lot of regard in spending that time building rapport with a viewer and getting them to feel welcome and building that trust enough and making them feel welcome enough to the community to where they eventually subscribe and you know, I guess show that back to me that they really enjoy being there. Not that they were pushed to sub, but they enjoy the being in the community enough, and to be present. And I don't want this to sound bad because I know it's going to come off bad, but it's $5, and it's for someone who comes in like once a week. Or a couple times a week, I would never expect them to sub. And if they subbed, I'd probably get mad at them because they're wasting their money for the amount of time they spend on the channel. But if you're in the channel all the time, and you enjoy being there, and you love the content, it's such a stretch for me to like, and this is probably more of my sales coming back out of me, but there's very few excuses for absorbing that much content and then saying I can't afford a $5 sub, right? Like, because I've had instances where I've had other subscribers in my channel kind of low key guilt trip people for hanging out or for being there for like 6 months and never subbing and never donating. Be like, hey man, when you gonna sub? When you gonna actually join the tribe, whatever? And then they'll say, oh, you know, I can't. I want to, but I can't afford it. And like people blow their money on so many dumb things all the time that it's so hard for me to actually be like, you know what, you're right. They can't afford $5 a month. That's a stretch. That's just too much for the 800 hours they've absorbed so far. So, you know, like it's just funny. I don't know. I think that gifting a sub is great for the community, but
Yes.
There's the side that if all streamers don't really care about it, from what I've talked to, I think that's also something to not ignore.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's the experiences that I've had with it. Yes, there have been a handful of people in my community that have gotten the gifted subs and they've appreciated it. But when it turns into the meme of every view bot that shows up in your chat gets a sub and your own channel bot gets a sub, that's when it becomes to me, just give me the damn donation. Like, really, I appreciate that you're doing this, but you're giving it to a bot. Just no, you're gonna spend that money on nothing. Throw it into my PayPal account. If you're gonna help it, if you're gonna use it to help my community, fantastic. But bots, that's where it gets weird to me, and I'd rather it not be a thing.
I'm a man of many memes, and dude, if you gifted a sub to Nightbot, that would be the most legendary thing. I'd be like, oh my god, hey.
That's so funny. Yeah, I mean, I think this has been a really cool discussion actually to go through because I haven't really thought too much about this. So I really appreciate you bringing this up, Woolsy. And
No problem.
anything else you want to add to that before we wrap it up?
No, I think I'm all out.
All right,
I appreciate talking to you guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
No problem. Good luck with the rest of the show.
We'll do
Content.
Yeah.